Human trafficking in the digital age. How criminal networks use social media to recruit victims. BorderTrend editorial. The recruitment model for human trafficking has undergone a profound transformation, where traffickers once relied on physical presence, approaching vulnerable individuals in bus stations, refugee camps, and impoverished communities. They now operate at scale through digital platforms, reaching millions of potential victims with algorithmically targeted job advertisements that promise legitimate employment abroad. BorderTrend's monitoring of INTERPOL, UNODC, and IOM enforcement and research publications through 2025 and into 2026 documents this shift comprehensively. The digital recruitment model is not a supplement to traditional trafficking methods. It has become the dominant vector, enabling criminal networks to operate with minimal physical exposure while dramatically expanding their reach. The false job advertisement. The most prevalent digital recruitment technique is deceptively simple. A social media advertisement offering legitimate employment, customer service, hospitality, construction, domestic work in a prosperous destination country. The advertisements are professionally designed, often feature stock photography of happy workers in clean environments, and promise salaries that are genuinely attractive relative to local wage levels in origin countries. Interpol's 2025 Trafficking Trend Report, monitored through BorderTrend's official feeds, identified false job advertisements as the primary recruitment method in 67% of confirmed trafficking cases involving digital platforms. The platforms most frequently exploited include Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Telegram, with traffickers frequently creating new accounts after previous ones are suspended, exploiting the inherent challenge of content moderation at scale. The geography of digital recruitment has expanded significantly. While Southeast Asia, particularly Myanmar, Thailand, and the Philippines, remains the most heavily reported region in BorderTrend's monitoring, Interpol's latest trend data shows rapid growth in West Africa, Latin America, and Eastern Europe. The common factor is not geography, but economic vulnerability. Wherever unemployment is high and legitimate, overseas employment opportunities are scarce, false job advertisements find willing audiences. The scam center phenomenon. Perhaps the most significant development in digital-era human trafficking documented through BorderTrend's monitored feeds has been the emergence of so-called scam centers, large-scale operations in which trafficking victims are forced to conduct online fraud against a separate set of victims in other countries. Interpol's June 2025 update on scam center operations, extensively covered in BorderTrend's human smuggling feed, documented victims from 66 countries held in compounds primarily in Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos, but with rapidly expanding operations in West Africa and Central America. The victims are typically recruited through false employment advertisements, transported across borders using legitimate or fraudulently obtained documents, and then held in compounds where they are forced, under threat of violence, debt bondage, and confiscation of identity documents, to operate online fraud schemes targeting individuals in the US, Europe, and Australia. The scale is significant. UNODC estimates that scam center operations generate between $7.5 billion and $12.5 billion annually, making them by revenue one of the largest criminal enterprises in Southeast Asia. BorderTrend monitors INTERPOL Operation Liberterra updates, UNODC publications, and IOM rescue operation press releases to maintain ongoing coverage of this evolving threat. Platform exploitation and the moderation challenge. Social media platforms face a genuine challenge in detecting and removing trafficking-related content. The advertisements themselves are often indistinguishable from legitimate job postings. They use similar language, similar imagery, and target similar demographics. Detection requires not just content analysis, but contextual intelligence, understanding which accounts, which networks, and which recruitment patterns are associated with trafficking operations. Meta, TikTok, and other platforms have invested in dedicated trust and safety teams focused on human trafficking detection. BorderTrend's monitoring of their transparency reports and the Technology Coalition's annual progress reports documents genuine progress. Millions of accounts suspended, significant improvements in detection rates. But the fundamental economics favor the traffickers. The cost of creating a new account is zero, while the cost of moderation at scale is substantial. The law enforcement response. The most effective responses documented in BorderTrend's monitored feeds combine digital intelligence with traditional law enforcement operations. Operation Liberterra III, Interpol's largest ever anti-trafficking operation conducted in November 2025, saw 14,000 officers mobilized across multiple countries, resulting in 3,744 arrests. Critically, the operation made extensive use of online monitoring, tracking recruitment advertisements, payment flows, and communication patterns to identify and disrupt networks before victims could be moved. IOM's victim identification and repatriation programs, monitored through BorderTrend's human smuggling feeds, have processed thousands of victims rescued from scam centers and other digital-era trafficking operations. Their field reports consistently highlight a common theme. Victims frequently did not recognize themselves as trafficking victims when they accepted the initial job offer. The deception was complete enough that many believed, until confronted with the reality of their situation, that they were engaged in a legitimate, if unusual, employment arrangement. For border security professionals, the digital trafficking landscape presents new challenges in victim identification. Traditional trafficking victim profiles, individuals showing signs of physical abuse, disorientation, or control by a third party, may not apply to victims recruited digitally, who may present with apparently valid employment documentation and a plausible account of their travel purpose. Training that incorporates digital recruitment awareness is increasingly recognized as essential for frontline border officers. BorderTrend will continue monitoring developments in this rapidly evolving area of border security intelligence.